Hey everybody, welcome back. I got another toy review here. I just picked up these new Super Ninja Steel toy releases that came out. They came out about around January. I've seen a lot of them being released and seen some people picking them up. I picked them up to add them to my collection of my Ninja Steel and Super Ninja Steel new lines. I picked up Galvanax. He was the main villain from Ninja Steel, and just got released now with the new packaging from Super Ninja Steel. So I kind of heard rumors that maybe he was going to come back, so I guess that's why they waited so long to release him. Not really sure. And then I also picked up the Lionfire Armored Red Ranger, for Super Ninja Steel. So let's take a quick look at the packaging on Galvanax. We'll take a look at it. You got the new Ninja Steel logo with kind of like this new lightning bolt style. It's pretty neat. I mean, I like the packaging. It really highlights the colors of everything, really. Here's another picture of some of the other figures that have already come out, but they're re-releasing it in the Super Ninja Steel packaging line. There's a lot of different figures here. Here's the basic Rangers, Gold Ranger. They got 3 different Lionfire ones. I believe they're going to be in the show. I don't think I'm going to be picking up each color because they're basically the same one, just a little bit different. I don't really need all 3. And then you have Galvanax here, and then maybe like this newer villain here that I haven't seen yet or hasn't been released. And again, you have the packaging on the front again. You got this little logo here now that shows like the figure that's in it and like whatever weapons come with it. And let's take a look at the Armored Lion Red Ranger. This guy's pretty badass. The armor looks really cool. It's like really, like they did capture a lot of the kind of like the ninja look or samurai look in this. I think a lot better than like Power Rangers Samurai. That wasn't that great. But this has a lot more, kind of like a harder look, with the armor, especially with the helmet and stuff. You got the lightning bolt over here, a little logo that shows that you get the action figure with the sword, which is basically the same sword that just came with the other release figures. I guess they didn't want to like do a new mold of like the the Lionfire morpher that fits onto the sword. And we'll take a look at the back of the box. Basically the same as the other one, same as all the other ones. Shows some of the vehicles here. Same thing down at the bottom. Bunch of the other figures that you can collect. And that's about that. That's basically it for the packaging, so without further ado, let's get these things open and see what they're all about. Alright, so we got everything out of the package and set up. So let's take a look at the Lionfire Red Ranger first. Take a look at some of the articulation that he has and some of the paint apps. So he's a pretty good looking figure. I do like this new armor that they have. It's pretty close, to, I've seen some of the pictures. Obviously, Saban, they don't put a lot of paint apps on some of it. They try to get it where it counts so that at least you're looking at the helmet, the chest piece. You have paint on the chest here. Paint on the waist area here. Black, solid black for the arms. The face is, the helmet is very nicely painted. It gets the point across. You have the little line up here on the top, and the Red Ranger's helmet design. Each Ranger has its own helmet shield design where it's in a different shape. His is kind of like in a black, like almost like an Iron Cross look, and then different Rangers have different shapes on theirs. You have some silver on the boots here, black, and then silver like on the shin plates here. Little Ninja Steel Shuriken here, or Ninja Star. And then you got pretty much typical Power Ranger figure. No color on the back, just a lot of detail, a lot of like meshing kind of look to it. But again, no paint apps. But, you know, it's a $9 figure, so, you know, you're only going to get basic painting. You know, again, if you want, like, better paint apps, you're going to have to go for a lot of the superhero lines where you're paying $20, $22 a figure. So, again, for kids or collectors that aren't looking for that accurate but more playability, or for display where, you know, it looks good as a group when you're putting them together with the other figures, this is completely fine. Let's start out with some of the articulation. You have right and left head turn, which is basically hindered by the collar here. It's a little short collar that goes into the armor. You have these two little armor flaps here that cover the arms to make it look more like armor. So his arm does go up and down. It's on a ball joint. It's like a ratcheting one that come with some of the figures now. It's like a light ratchet here. So you can kind of move them up, down, and the little shoulder pad, it moves out of the way pretty quickly. You know, if you want to move them, it doesn't really hinder it a lot because it moves and then you just have to push it back down. So you can get a pretty good range of movement on both arms. You can go about that far up, all the way down, you know, all the way out, all the way around. You can get a 360 on it because, again, the armor moves up. He's got an elbow bend, and then he's got a wrist bend like that. And then his arms are basically black. And if you see there, he does have the little Lion Fire morpher that's snapped onto his wrist there. And again, the other arm black. No waist articulation. And then you have the legs, which are on a ratcheting ball joint. They go up and back. It goes up quite a bit. You know, like you can put him in poses like he's kicking or kind of jumping. He doesn't go back very far, which is pretty much hindered by partially the bottom half of it, the molding of the armor. So you can get an outward motion, all the way out, all the way up. You have a knee bend, so you can put them in seating positions or like a jumping positions, things like that. You can put them into some of the newer vehicles. These are pretty cool because, again, there's a lot of different vehicles that came with Super Ninja Steel. So instead of having those figures that come with the vehicles, now you can at least have nicely detailed painted figures to put on those vehicles so it doesn't look so bad. And again, you got a knee bend, paint apps on the shin, no rotation at the foot, but at least it stands very well. You know, it's pretty solid, so you can get them to stand pretty easily like that. And then let's check out his weapon here. So we have the same basic sword that was for Ninja Steel. It's their little weapon that they carry. It's not the morpher, you know. So in the other ones, they, you know, they can just hold them in the hand. But with these new ones, apparently, they have this little, if you can see it, this little tab. So it tabs into the back of the figure like this. And, you know, again, then you're able to have it stored for storage, or again, obviously makes it look a lot better as far as like a ninja, because now he's kind of carrying it on his back. So that's pretty cool. You know, instead of just having it in his hand all the time, you could have some guys with it in their hand, but then you'll still see them on their back. So that's pretty cool. So let's switch over to Villain Galvanax, see what he looks like. He's pretty cool. I do like the figure. It catches the point pretty close, you know, from that distance as an action figure. You know, the gold looks pretty good. Not a lot of paint on anything really as far as the shoulders or the arms. You know, you have some basic paint apps on the face and a little bit on the chest here. Mostly blue and gold, a little bit of red, some white, and black on the face. Again, nothing on the back, just there's a lot of detail on the back. Kind of has this face look to it that goes on the back, and there's a lot of armor pieces. They did at least continue this to the back, so it kind of breaks it up a little bit as far as not, at least it wasn't all blue or something like that. So let's take a look at close up at the face sculpt, and I don't know if you can see that. So he's got a mouth. His mouth is kind of open like he's screaming. They have the teeth painted. Then if you can see, they painted his eyes. And then he's got some black on his face. And then split up with gold like in the show. And then he's got this awesome helmet that he wears in the show. It's very like a medieval samurai. It's pretty cool. The horns are really cool looking. It does look a lot like the show. And, you know, he does have head rotation. You can get it to go all the way around. The shoulder pads don't really get in the way. So that's pretty cool. But again, it's a villain figure. They don't do a lot. They do a lot of like basic fighting and stuff like that. The head turns. I mean, he's going to look both left or right. He's not the Exorcist, so you don't need his head spinning all the way around anyway. So then you get arm movement. It does only go up and down. You can get a 360 in, like that. Doesn't have a ball joint. Bends at the elbow. No hand rotation or articulation. It's just in a fixed to hold the weapon that he has. Then he has these shoulder pads here, if you can see. There's quite a bit of detail on it. It's got this face with like a horn on it. The shoulder pads do move up and down. You can get them to rotate around. Now, they do come off, so you can take them off whether you want them on or not. If you wanted to somehow get him in like a better pose where it's just him without the armor on it, and it's just on a small little ball joint that clips on like this. Very easy to clip on and off. Like that. So you can move it up and down. Goes all the way around. So you can kind of, if you wanted to, I don't know. It doesn't really hinder it at all because the arm only does go up and down. So it's not like you needed to take it off because it has a ball joint where you can swing the arms out or something like that. Then you have this face that's on the chest, kind of resembles like, sort of like a lion. It's got red eyes, and then it's got this like kind of nose face here. And then you have armor here at the waist, looks pretty good. Again, all gold, mixed up with some blue that's up here on the stomach. And then you get down to the legs. Got some blue on the legs with a lot of detail. And then you get not a lot of movement on the legs. Kind of like a typical villain figure. They don't do a lot in the villain figure line as far as articulation. They try to hit on the points of, you know, detail on what the figure looks like and kind of like the bigness of them. So they kind of look a lot bigger than the action figures. So they're a little bit more menacing looking, where you lose some of the articulation, but you gain in the coolness of the figure. So you can kind of move his legs a little bit back and forth. It is on a ball joint, but that doesn't really help it too much because it's hindered by the armor that's here on the side. So it gets to go out about that much, back in a little bit. Can go forward a teeny bit, you know, and then goes back a little ways too. But again, it's hindered by the armor. And then, let's see. So then you got knee joint. You can bend at the knee so you can get them into some sense, you know, kind of like a running position, something like that. Not much else. Because again, even if you could bend it farther up, it doesn't really help to be able to bend at the knee because you can't even really get him into a kicking position. So he's more just for, you know, putting with the other figures while you're in play with kids or for collectors in display. And quite a bit of detail on the boots here. He's got these like kind of like hook action that's like in the show, all painted in gold. No rotation at the foot. And that's about it. Pretty good looking figure. I do like it. I've been waiting for the figure. I wish it came out sort of in the beginning of the line, because you had a bunch of, he's the main character who's sending out all the villains, and you put out 3 or 4 villain figures, and then you put him out completely at the end of the line. I guess they like to make people wait. And let's take a look at his staff here. It's pretty cool. It's all made in gold, gold plastic, really, so it looks pretty good. It's got a little bit of a shine to it. It's basically like the weapon that he has in the show. Let's see if we can get a focus here. And it looks pretty good. Hits all the points. No paint on it at all, but the details are there enough that you can really see what it looks like. And we can flip it around here. And then it fits easily in his hand. You can go like this, and just pop it in his hand like this. And then you get to look like that. Let's see if we can turn it so you can see his face more. Oops. Okay, so there we go. That's basically the 2 new figures that I picked up from the new line that came out for Super Ninja Steel. Let's just throw in a couple other figures here. I don't have the the cockpit Rangers. I don't have the Red Ranger, but I'll throw it in here. I have the Yellow Ranger for the cockpit with the armor, the battle eyes, so you can kind of see like how it does have a similarity as far as some of the armor and stuff. It's got the shoulder plates, but it's pretty different, but it does look good together. So when they're mixed up in the show, or when you're playing with them, again, they do look comparable together, that they obviously are from the same season. And then through the power of editing, what we get here's a picture of Galvanax with some of the other releases that came out in the first line. We have Stone Dozer. He was one of the other villains, and one of the Bone Gators that usually fights once the Power Rangers are in the Megazord. There's usually 2 of them. I do have 2 of them. I just took one out of the package, and I have another one in the packaging. And then again, you have Galvanax in the back, and again, they look very similar. The the way that they're very bulky, and kind of very, it looks good together as in the show as it does in the action figures. It's very they're very different than any other seasons. A lot of the Dino Charge ones were a lot different than these guys. So that's basically it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what else you're interested, or I'll be bringing you more reviews coming up in the future. So thanks again.